Hello and welcome to Bits Transfer Talk. This is a show where we bring you all of the latest from the January transfer window in the footballing world. And we're going to start today with the Rumour Mill, looking at a potential transfer for Manchester United involving Weghorst. All they have to do is pay the €3 million to Besiktas, where he is currently on loan, to cut the deal short, bring him back to Burnley and then to Old Trafford. Weghorst had a brilliant World Cup with the Netherlands team, including those 2 goals against Argentina in the quarter-final. He actually didn't have such a good time in the Premier League at the back end of last season with Burnley and didn't follow them in their relegation into the Championship. He went on loan to Besiktas. Now, after a pretty good start to the season, it looks as though he'll be bringing a different set of skills to Old Trafford. Anthony Martial isn't necessarily the number 9 that Manchester United need in terms of goal scoring, and when you look at what Erik ten Hag managed to get out of Sebastian Haller at Ajax, this could actually be a really good fit alongside the likes of Marcus Rashford and Anthony. Moving on to the next one, and we're still talking about Manchester United. It's Harry Maguire potentially leaving the club. He's club captain, but earlier in the week, there were reports that he was going to move to Aston Villa. Those don't look to be 100% factual, but looking at the state of the squad, Harry Maguire could be 5th or even 6th choice centre-back. At the minute, there are the 3 centre-backs in Lindelof, Varane and Martinez. But on top of this, Luke Shaw, normally a left-back, has been playing centre-back as well. And after the World Cup, when they returned to League Cup action, Casemiro even filled in at centre-half as well. Not exactly a good look for Harry Maguire. There were reports that £7 million was the amount that could take him to Aston Villa or just away from Old Trafford in general, and that would represent a huge loss for United, having paid £80 million for him a few years ago. On top of this, we have Mykhailo Mudryk, a man who not only was linked with Arsenal, but Chelsea and Barcelona as well. However, for Arsenal, this could be the difference between a massive title challenge and just falling short. At the minute, Gabriel Jesus is injured for the next few months. They've got Eddie Nketiah, who's doing very well in the first team, but he is the only option. This means that the goals need to be shared around the rest of the attacking 3. The likes of Bukayo Saka and Gabriel Martinelli are doing that very well. So is Martin Odegaard, the captain. But bringing in Mudryk, another goal scorer, another brilliant attacker, will only help them towards the end of the season. At the minute, the only difference between the 2 clubs, that's Arsenal and Shakhtar, is the price. Arsenal's opening bid of around £55 million was turned down by the Ukrainian side, as they want upwards of £65 million. The good news for Arsenal fans is he apparently really wants this deal to go through, and a verbal agreement may have been made on a 5-year deal. Following on from Mudryk, and we've got Enzo Fernandez. This would be a ridiculous transfer for Chelsea. £112 million is the fee that they're going to pay to bring in the Argentinian World Cup winner. All of this just 6 months after he joined Benfica for €10 million plus €8 million in add-ons. What it does represent, though, is Todd Boehly at Chelsea now paying for the future. At 21 years old, Fernandez represents exactly that. It's a high-quality, long-term investment. N'Golo Kante's into his early 30s and seems to be injured for quite a long time, and Jorginho has been linked with a return to Serie A, potentially with Napoli. Alongside the likes of Ruben Loftus-Cheek and Conor Gallagher, there aren't really too many standout players in Chelsea's midfield, and if the forwards are going to get the ball and score more, they're going to need to get it from a quality midfielder, and that is exactly what Enzo Fernandez is. And lastly on this, we have João Felix, talking of Chelsea forwards, a man who knows how to find the back of the net, because at the minute, Kai Havertz isn't an out-and-out forward. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang looks, let's be honest, past his best. So João Felix could come in and really provide that goal-scoring threat to, hopefully for Chelsea, find them back into top 4 contention. At the minute, a loan deal is on the cards, and £10 million is quite a lot to pay, but like I mentioned, if Chelsea manage to get into the Champions League, it's definitely going to be worth it. As for João Felix's long-term future, well, he has signed a new deal with Atletico up until 2027. This, of course, covers the fact that if he has a brilliant loan spell at Stamford Bridge, Atletico will be able to charge a lot more money for his services. If he doesn't, well, there's plenty more time for him to come good, and eventually they can recoup some of the money they spent on him from Benfica a few years ago. When it comes to Graham Potter, he desperately needs a couple of victories in his next few games, and who knows, João Felix could be the catalyst to really cause an upturn in their form. That is all from the Rumour Mill, but next up, we come to the done deals of the January transfer window so far. And we'll start with this man, Daley Blind, who actually had his contract mutually terminated with Ajax just before the World Cup. He put in yet another good shift for the Netherlands during the tournament, as we have seen in his 99 appearances so far. And now he is signed for Bayern Munich. Not only is he a good replacement for the injured Lucas Hernandez for the rest of the season, but he also provides a lot more and is very versatile. That's the centre-back role covered for Hernandez. There's also left-back, their central defensive midfield, and on top of this, if they decide to switch to a back three, there's a left centre-back role covered as well. At only 32 years old, if he puts in a good performance in the next 6 months, that's the length of his contract, who knows, we could see Blind stay at Munich for a little bit longer than just the summer. As well as this, another deal that is done is Kevin Schade to Brentford. And this is a massive statement from the Premier League side because it will be their record signing. I say will be because at the minute it is only a loan deal until the end of the season, but there is an obligation to buy and they will bring in the former Freiburg man for around 25 million euros. He actually made his debut in the FA Cup at the weekend, but there wasn't really enough time for him to fully have an impact on the game against West Ham. What we have seen from him though in the Bundesliga and with Freiburg is that he is a versatile, very aggressive, athletic forward that perfectly fits Thomas Frank's system. We've seen them in some brilliant victories this season over the likes of Liverpool and Manchester United. And on the counter-attack, they are brilliant. And Schade will definitely add to an already exciting front three in West London. Another deal that I'm sure you'll know about is Cristiano Ronaldo moving to al-Nassar in Saudi Arabia and pocketing £173 million per season. The soon-to-be 38-year-old has left European football and has signed a 2.5-year deal. Now, the interesting one about this, despite the fact that Cristiano Ronaldo has moved to Saudi Arabia, is that he hasn't made his debut just yet, but he will do in a mixed Saudi Arabian League 11 against none other than PSG and Lionel Messi in a friendly. Who would have thought it that he leaves European football but still comes up in the never-ending debate of who is the GOAT? Maybe Lionel Messi put an end to those rumours with that World Cup victory, but Cristiano Ronaldo is still alive and kicking in footballing terms. Next up then, we have Cody Gakpo, a very interesting deal for Liverpool fans, as not only the 40 million signing from PSV meant that they have a player to cover the likes of Luis Diaz and Diogo Jota with their current injuries, but it also sets Jurgen Klopp's men up for the future. His debut wasn't the most impressive. Klopp said there's definitely potential, but he needs to get into better positions. But I'm not going to pin this all on the Dutchman. There probably is a few upgrades in the midfield that Liverpool could do with to get him the ball in the first place. Like I mentioned, he can cover for the injured players now, but it also helps Liverpool plan for the future. This could be a future without the likes of Roberto Firmino and Mo Salah. But when we talk about Gakpo and how he's going to fit in now and in the upcoming years, well, we're going to jump into a little bit more detail as he is our game breaker of the week. On then to our game breaker of the weekend. It, of course, is Cody Gakpo. Like I mentioned, that £40 million deal taking him from PSV to Liverpool not only helps them now, but in the future as well. And here's how. With his skill set, you know that there's going to be a lot of direct running at defenders. There's going to be a lot of finishing, a lot of dribbling, a lot of excitement in general, and a lot of switching with Darwin Núñez. Both of them have the capability of playing not only out wide, but also through the centre as well. For those of you who watch the World Cup, you'll know that Cody Gakpo is equally good in the air as he is with the ball at his feet. But his skill set as a winger is really important to how Liverpool play at the minute. On the left wing, when Cody Gakpo gets the ball, he's got the brilliance to dribble all the way to the byline and get the crosses in. We know, we've seen that. He can also then go a bit more direct towards goal, get the shots off, link up with the likes of Darwin Núñez. And this, which has been a feature of Liverpool's play over the years, allows the likes of Andy Robertson to overlap. That's pretty standard for Liverpool. It also means that Cody Gakpo can get involved in the goals a little bit more when the ball comes from the other side. Trent Alexander-Arnold getting forward, providing balls into the box. Again, a staple of Liverpool's play. But the interesting thing for me is how this is going to blend into the future of Liverpool. In the past few years, we've seen Roberto Firmino drop in to this number 10 role. Whilst he's done that and linked up the midfield to the attack, the likes of Salah and Mane have been able to exploit the space in behind. Firmino in this role brings out centre-backs, and then, like we see here with Gakpo and with Mo Salah as well, there is definitely lots of room for them to go straight to the goal. But of course, Roberto Firmino is getting into his 30s and doesn't necessarily represent the future of Liverpool in attack. Cody Gakpo does, Darwin Núñez does, and so does Luis Diaz. You'll notice then that that doesn't involve a front three with Mo Salah. The reason then for this change is that we could have a number 10 in this role even, with Harvey Elliott, who I've got here. Of course, we could have the likes of Curtis Jones and Fabio Carvalho as well. But what does it mean for Gakpo? Well, he may actually be forced to stay a little bit wider. Of course, with Elliott here, or whoever it is, you won't get a Roberto Firmino type player dropping in to the number 10 role. The link between the midfield to the attack is already there. So what's going to happen with Núñez too? Could we see them switch more often and attack from a wider position rather than central? Could we see Gakpo and Núñez both brought in and used for their height, for their heading ability? That seems a little bit more likely. I doubt Trent Alexander-Arnold and Andy Robertson will stop crossing the ball anytime soon, so we could see Gakpo and Núñez getting into the box a little bit more frequently, just maybe not from such a central position. Of course, I've got Luis Diaz on the right here as well, as we don't know what the future holds for Mo Salah. There have been rumours that they'll be looking to cash in on the Egyptian star, but given his goal-scoring record for the club, I'm not so sure he'll be leaving so soon. It's an interesting front three, and given the success that Liverpool have had in the previous years, there are some big boots to fill, but with a talented front three of Diaz, Núñez and Gakpo, I could see some exciting times ahead for Jurgen Klopp's men. That's all then for this week's Bit Transfer Talk. We've had some exciting deals from the Rumour Mill that next week could be in the done deal section. Of course, we'll be keeping you up to date with all of the latest in the football transfer world, as well as the exciting new Gamebreaker. Could be someone we featured in today's show, or potentially a brand new signing out of the blue. Join us next week for all of that, plus loads more.